If somebody on your team can do it 80% as good as you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
And you can coach them up.
Yeah.
Not only is that going to free up your time, but it's also giving them a great growth opportunity. And that is what you should be looking for as a leader, is what are the growth opportunities?
Hello and welcome back to the Leadership Launchpad. We are continuing our series of discussions with learning leaders at the DevLearn conference in Las Vegas. Today's discussion is with Jen Recla. She's a leadership coach and trainer. You'll find a little bit more about her in the discussion, but what was really interesting that she brought up when I asked her the question of what she wished managers knew about training is the importance of what happens after. I think this is really critical. So often when we think about training, we think about one and done events, or I go to the training and then I go back to work, where in reality, if we want to change behavior, if you want to impact people and the business, then the magic happens after the training is over. That's really the heart of what this discussion, and managers, you are the ones who control that time. I can only do so much in the workshop, in the classroom, but you're the one who's working with your employees. Really critical, remember this. I hope you enjoy the discussion.
Jen, thank you so much for taking time.
Yeah, it's great to be here again.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We got to connect last night, which was fantastic. And last night I learned a little bit more about kind of your practice, and you tend to work with kind of executive leaders in smaller companies, so like top level leaders, and then come in and kind of work top down, where you're doing some coaching, and then you're doing some teamwork stuff as you go down. That's fantastic. Based on kind of what you've seen in these organizations, then I'll ask you the same question I'm asking everybody, is what is one thing you wish every manager knew about training?
Well, I think that the most important thing in my experience in L&D for many years is their role in this. One thing that was absent for a while when we were doing activities with individuals was after the session, after the training, right? Like, training's the solution. People go in, the magic's going to happen there. They're automatically going to know this skill set or this hard skill or this, how to have a crucial conversation. And the reality is the magic happens afterwards. When they take that theory, what they learned, the practice, and they're able to implement it back in their workplace. And what learners were butting up against was, well, I go back and I have people around me that don't know how to have a crucial conversation. I have a leader that doesn't know. So I don't have anyone that can continue to role model and coach for
Push
me.
it forward,
So I think that the role of the leader is so important, whether it's actually participating in the training with the individual, whether it's the pre-conversation, what do you want to get out of this? How can I support you? And then the follow-up check-ins that you have in your one-to-one conversations to say, how are you using this? How are you applying? Where is it tripping you up? How can I support you? Those questions need to be constant. We used to hand out coaching guides. Right? We do a little bit of pre, and then there was a coaching guide afterwards. And then there were also these prompts that we would send of how to implement this back in the work. And we really wanted to get leaders involved in that process.
So for anybody who's been watching this kind of a series, you're going to notice there's been a trend, that this is a big common theme. The thing I would love to get from you, because of your work, I know you talk to a lot of leaders about how to not burn out, and leaders these days are getting pulled in so many directions. And they're saying, Jen, this is great. Like, I got a lot to do. How do you work with people so they don't feel burnt out, so they feel like they can prioritize this kind of support?
A lot of the groups, organizations I've worked with over the years are resource strapped. Nonprofit, small organization, public sector, we got to get scrappy. And so as a leader, I'm wearing so many different hats. And the challenge with that is you can't do it all. You can't control everything. You've got to use the team around, got to delegate, and you have to be so intentional about what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to. So that's one of the first things I think any leader, whether you're a manager, director, even at the executive level, you've got to get a good handle on how to navigate your workload, manage your energy, and manage your time. I think one of the things that really trips leaders up is when you shift from an individual contributor to a leader, you are not the tactician and the implementer as much anymore. And when you were tactical, when you were doing the execution, you could see the results. It was really tangible. Well, as you get into higher levels of leadership, the work that you're doing is so much less tangible.
Yes.
Because it's about thinking.
Well, and I also think it's the thing that I think trips people up, at least in my world with engineers, is the phrase I always use is the feedback loops get longer. When you're on the floor doing your thing, you either do it right, you do it wrong, you get it right there. Like I always think about, there was a talk Jeff Bezos was giving about how the higher you go in leadership, the longer time horizons should be for all your decisions. And so for him, his feedback loops are 5 years long because he shouldn't be making decisions that matter for the company for 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
You know,
that is fascinating. Doesn't that feel so long?
Yeah. And why? Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's why it's a challenge is even when you make that first jump up to manager, now maybe instead of instant feedback or daily feedback, now, you know, if I'm going to be coaching you, it might take, it's going to be several months before I have any idea if it's having an impact.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I derailed you there.
That's okay. That's okay. It all comes together. You know, really what it gets down to is we need to focus as leaders on the things that are the most important, that are really going to have a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
And the majority of our time in these roles should be supporting the people that report up to us.
Yes.
Guiding them, coaching them, mentoring, advocating, championing, helping to solve problems with them collaboratively. And then also removing barriers, connecting with stakeholders and clients and customers. And I think we get bogged down. I read an article recently that said 60 to 75% of managers or leaders' time is spent in meetings.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is a huge place that you could start to do an audit and say, are all of these meetings valuable? Am I adding value? Is the other person, am I adding value or are they adding value to me?
Yeah.
Are there people that are on my team that are already going to this? Why am I even there? Or is there somebody on my team that could do this? There's a quote, and I can't remember who said the quote, but it's something along the lines of, if somebody on your team can do it 80% as good as you, that's awesome. Why aren't they doing it? And you can coach them up. Not only is that going to free up your time, but it's also giving them a great growth opportunity. And that is what you should be looking for as a leader, is what are the growth opportunities, right? Because I should always be helping them grow into my role. Even if I'm not leaving, let's get their skills up to this, and then I should be growing into the next role as well.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge is that growth portion, and saying like people, like it should be okay, like it should be natural for people to be outgrowing your team potentially. Like that's a good thing, but like continually pushing that. So, but yeah, I think that's right. I think just this idea, I like to push this idea of managers need to realize just how critical their role is in the ultimate performance improvement process.
Yeah.
And kind of from the get-go, I would hope demanding from or asking from training, like, okay, what am I going to be doing? What are you going to provide me? The best learning engagements that I've been a part of did that, where part of the creation process was, as you said, making handouts, making coaching guides, having an email campaign that goes out. This is like, hey, by the way, we just talked about this today in the session. In your next one-on-one, here's 3 questions that you could ask.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do for me as the leader to help make sure this sustains?
Right. And that is the role of L&D, is to provide those supporting resources for leaders. There's all these departments that are for the internal leaders. You've got HR, you've got compliance, you've got communication, you've got learning and development. And what I think sometimes, even when I was a leader, you forget that's all still part of your job.
Yeah.
You have these departments to guide you and support you and provide you with the tools you need to succeed. But communicating is still part of your job.
Yeah.
Managing your employees' performance, still part of your job.
Yeah.
Providing training and coaching, still part of your role.
Yeah.
So I think if we reframe that these extra departments, they are there to support what you should be doing. You still have to do that function. L&D is not going to come in and train all your people and then you can take a break from it. You have to be so involved with it too.
Yeah. And I think from the flip side of that as well, speaking from the L&D person, at least early on in my career, I do think there's a hesitancy from these support organizations. We forget that is what we're doing, that we need the manager in order for us to succeed, because we're almost afraid that if they become too critical, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, there's almost that hesitancy there. And just so for the managers listening, like there's some empathy there, I think, of just like realizing that sometimes if you are asking these questions, which you should be doing, there may be some like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm the one that's supposed to do the training. Like, you know, so it has to be, but it has to be that relationship to be successful.
Yeah. Well, and I think the pace of change is so fast, as you were talking about last night, that we all need to work together.
Yes.
In this.
Yes.
And so if you, as the leader, I can step up and do more of that coaching and guidance that builds off what L&D is doing. It just means that the stuff is going to get adopted in with it much faster and more sustainable for the long run as well. 100%. So it just elevates the whole experience all around. And like, how great for the learner to come back to their team and have a manager that asks them about the experience and wants to support them.
Exactly.
I mean, that's so motivating for that learner to want to continue to seek out those kinds of opportunities.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic, Jen. Thank you so much.
So thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you are looking for help turning your organization's great engineers into great managers, me and my team at Better Everyday Studios would love to help. We deliver targeted and interactive training workshops that are designed to help build the 3 fundamental skills of any new manager: building trust, giving feedback, and setting goals. Reach out to me through matt@bettereverydaystudios.com so we can start making your organization better every day.